Welcome to Beyond the Qubit. My guests today are Magdalena and Wolfgang Lechner from Parity Quantum Computing. I'm quite excited to have both today. Parity Quantum Computing is a company that is an expert with smart algorithms and getting more logical qubits out of the qubits. I'm quite keen to learn more about Parity Quantum Computing. This might be a little bit repetitive, but I want to go back to the technology. What are the building blocks? And why does parity encoding shift problems from hardware to software? And how does the parity encoding work? And what is the error correction angle?
The main building block is the parity transformation. This was the main invention from 2015 when I was a postdoc at the University of Innsbruck. The main idea is to represent quantum information as relative information instead of the information itself. I would say that is the main building block. Now, the big advantage that the advantages that derive from this are several-fold. One is this connectivity problem and this programmability, so simplified programmability. And I would say these two components were the main ingredient for the IBM success. But then there is another aspect about it, which is the error correction, which naturally occurs here. So usually if you think about error correction, then what people do is they take a quantum algorithm and they replace the physical qubits by logical qubits. And the logical qubits you build out of several physical qubits that somehow act together as one logical qubit. And now in our case, the interesting thing is that error correction automatically comes out, because if you think now of let's take the cities again. So let's say you don't have just 3 cities, but you take all capital cities of Europe. And now you represent all positions by relative information between them. Then you have much more information than you actually need. Because let's say you have 10 cities, then you have 55 connections between cities, no? So this means you can actually decode, or you can calculate back the position of the cities from different paths that you go through. No? So you can start from Amsterdam to Vienna, then from Vienna to Budapest, and from Budapest to Rome, and so on. Or you can take a different route. You know all the relative informations, and you can basically calculate the position of the cities. And now, because you can take different routes, you can actually detect if there is an error in one of the distances. So for example, if the distance between Vienna and Budapest is wrong, then you can detect this, because you can calculate the position of Vienna and Budapest from different ways. And this is how error correction works. It's called redundancy. And once you have redundant information, you can do error correction. And because we store all relative information, we have a lot of redundant information. And this makes the parity code automatically an error correcting code.
It's a very smart approach, and I'm fascinated by it. It's really interesting. So that's yeah. Thank you for explaining the basics. How is your approach different from the standard way most people imagine a gate-based quantum computer?
Yeah, again, the parity picture, so having relative information instead of the information itself. So I would say the most basic first step that you usually do is you translate the bits into quantum bits and the gates into quantum gates. And in our case, you already turn away basically on the first step, namely the bits are not translated to quantum bits, but the relative information of bits, and more or less everything else derives from that.
Okay, that's clear. Can you walk us through the barriers for entry for competition? So if somebody wants to copy parity, you think it's a really smart idea, and I want to copy that. What are the barriers?
Yeah, so you just have to come up with something better. That's the only barrier. So,
And but there is, you said, okay, one of your key learnings was it's very important that I have a patent, and you patented it.
yeah.
Does the patent protect you that it is not possible to copy you?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So the original patent is very, very fundamental. Because it has exactly this idea of. So patents are written, of course, differently. So you have to write this as an apparatus and as a method. But interestingly, here in the method, you can protect, or you can actually write the method in such a way that you say how you do the transformation. No? You basically say you do a quantum computation where you translate into these parity qubits and then act on these parity qubits. And for this, we have the patent, which does not just protect the LHZ construction in its original form, but basically everything that derives from this. And since the first patent, we have now over 50 patents. So we have a full patent portfolio, which does not just include the architecture itself, but also hardware components, error correction, and applications.
Okay. And who do you see as your main competitors?
Yeah, that's a question we get a lot, and I don't think that you would like the answer.
No, please tell me.
So, as Wolfgang said, if we would have a direct competitor, it would be one that would have to come up with another fundamental way on how to build quantum computers differently than the standard gate model or the parity architecture. So this would be something that would be really direct competition. So when we answer this question, we usually say that our competition are the internal teams of our customers, because they are working at the moment with the standard gate model, right? So we have to convince them that the parity architecture is something they would benefit so greatly from that they switch from the standard gate model to the parity architecture. So this is why we do everything. So everything that is coming out of the company is to actually convince hardware developers that this is the way to go. This is also why we publish things like this world record, to show that the standard gate model is not the only way to go, but could be a different way.
And maybe to summarize, so you say, okay, we don't have really competition with the parity approach, apart from the normal gate-based approach, unless somebody comes up with a new approach. And therefore, we have to convince the hardware providers that our approach is better. How is that going? What is the progress there?
Not too bad so far, we have to say. So, first of all, maybe let's explain our business model. So what we do is we sell a license package of the IP and the enabling software. So everything that you get in our IP, you get it via our software, so you don't have to do it yourself. And so when we work with hardware developers, there are different ways on how we can do this. And when we look at the quantum market, we know that the quantum market is quite in an early stage, right? It's nearly $1 billion, a little bit over $1 billion for last year. And compared to the government spending that is put into quantum computing, which is around 60 billion worldwide, we see that the greatest benefit that we can have on the commercial side at the moment is to work together with hardware developers and sell quantum computers, but from the early stage, to governments. And this is where we have been quite successful. So we got 2 of the largest contracts ever awarded in quantum computing by the German Aerospace Center, together with NXP, which is one of the largest semiconductor companies in Europe, and an ion trap company. And we also managed to get to win the tender for the German Ministry of Defense, where we built quantum computers that are mobile. So this would be the first mobile quantum computer ever. So they.
And what do you mean with mobile? Do you mean that there are wheels below, or do you mean the quantum computer goes over the mobile network? What do you mean with mobile?
The wheels. So the tender was really for a quantum computer that can be put in a vehicle and driven to the, in this case, the front line, because it's defense, right? And what they want to do is they want to have the possibility or the capabilities of quantum computing without somebody interfering the connection from the front line to the base where the quantum computer sits. So the quantum computer has to fulfill certain requirements. First of all, nothing that has to be cooled down to millikelvin is compatible with this method. So you have to find something that works at room temperature. It has to be robust enough that it can actually work with the shaking of the wheels or tank or whatever you use it in. And you have to be able to scale it even though the size has to get smaller. So we built it together with an NV Center company. Of course, NV centers in terms of scaling are behind the big ones like neutral atoms, ions, and superconducting. But if they manage to scale and overcome these technical hurdles, they would actually fit all these requirements. And this is why we won the tender together with the company in this field.
Wow, that's really a nice example. And Wolfgang, I want to come back to you about the patent and the IP. For how long does it last? Is it in perpetuity, or is there a limited period of time that the patent lasts?
Yeah, so patents are 20 years, and this is so I think also interesting timing, because there is many patents in quantum computing that were filed around 2000. So this was a time where there was many fundamental inventions done in quantum computing. For example, measurement-based quantum computing was filed in 2001. Or quantum repeaters were also patented around that time. Also in ion-based quantum computing were many patents there. And now it's 2026, which means these patents ran out. And in particular, for different technologies, this is a reason why many things are not patented, which are very fundamental. Now, we were somehow in this lucky situation that something as fundamental as this parity mapping was invented only 2015, which is now already 10 years ago, so we are at half time. But so to say, it's somehow interesting timing that it somehow is so fundamental but came rather late. And the idea, of course, is that one files continuously patents. And the way I always look at this is like a Roman building. That once it stands by itself, you can take out the fundamental patent, and the rest of it holds things together. But patents run out, and patents alone are not the solution. Yeah? So we also need to develop software. We need so-called moat, so something that protects us. And patents alone are not the only solution.
In what conditions would parity-based architectures lose its advantages?
It's hard because it's mathematically proven the most efficient way to do QFT. So as I said, if you come up with something completely different, so if we go completely away from the concept of qubits, and for example, there is idea of more exotic things like qubits, things which are not qubits. This could be a difference as I said, quantum computers must be built in such a different way that which we are not thinking about at the moment, and this would have to come out basically out of the blue. Then then I think, this would be over for us. Interestingly, until very recently, we, or at least I, and I think many people in the community, were more afraid that the quantum computing as a general might not work. No? So for example, 2015, when I filed the patent, it was not like that people clap on your shoulder and say, great new architecture. The only thing that you hear is that quantum computers will never work. And if they work, never with your architecture, because it's even worse than all the quantum computers that exist. And so for me, I'm already happy that we are now the world record and that quantum computers seem to start working. So this used to be, I think, the biggest fear, that quantum computers as a whole don't work. I think, if they work, then I think we have a good chance to be part of the ecosystem.
And what caused your conviction to go up that quantum computers are working?
Yeah, I think now everything seems to converge. So the predictions from the algorithmic side on how many qubits you need, and the predictions from the roadmaps of what will be achievable on the hardware side, these two things will meet in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think just looking at the players that invest in quantum computing, Google, IBM, Microsoft, Amazon, all these Chinese efforts that we are probably not aware of. Also, European Union, huge programs. I think a lot of people would have to make a lot of mistakes if nothing would come out of quantum.
Okay, very interesting. What are the hidden trade-offs or costs that critics should pay attention to for Parity?
You mean technical trade-offs?
Yes.
So now with the world record in our backpack, I wouldn't say that there are really trade-offs. Because it's the most efficient thing to do. I think one interesting phase will be the transition from error mitigation to full error correction. So there we have, so to say, again, our own architecture and our own way to do this. And this will be another marathon. So it almost feels like, if 2 years ago, so you would have told me that we have the world record in QFT, my answer would have been, nice, then I can relax and spend the rest of the summer in Greece. But the reality is exactly the opposite. Now, the only question is, okay, what's the next world record that we have to break? And error correction will be so error corrected parity. This will be the next thing. So this will be another challenge, and I think we are in a good position, but things are definitely not cleared out yet.
Okay. Is there a penalty in overhead, encoding, measurement, complexity, or compilation difficulty?
No. So as I said, the world record gives us some confidence that for the full package, we have the best solution. So because we're really talking about a full algorithm that was executed on a real quantum device. So the parity twine method has no exponential scaling or anything in the compilation time. It's actually the other way around. So if you talk about compilation time, classic compilation time, then we beat not just the AI Qiskit super optimized algorithms. We also beat them by millions in the runtime. Our construction you can do with a pen and a paper, while so to say the AI compilation or Qiskit compilation, you need a computer to do that. You need a serious CPU to do that. So compilation time, definitely nothing. For the decoding, we also have optimal decoder. measurements we don't do midterm. As I said, it's a full algorithm, so I'm just recounting the components. Sorry, but so we proved the full algorithm, and that's for me the argument that there is no hidden costs.
Okay. And how does it work if you scale the amount of qubits? Does it become easier? So if you go from, so IBM, if they go from 100 qubits to 1,000 qubits to 10,000 qubits, does applying parity solution become easier, or does it become harder? How does that work?
Yeah, it becomes harder in the sense that the system is bigger. So for example, one component that depends on the system side is the layouter. So at the moment, quantum computers work like this, that you have good qubits and crappy qubits, and you have to avoid the bad ones, which means the layouting, which is basically how you use the quantum chip, is something that avoids regions that are, so to say, from the quality less good on the quantum device. So in principle, it gets harder. But in all these computer science questions, we always talk about the scaling of the hardness. And as I said, there's no exponential scaling in the system. So in many error correcting codes, by the way, there is exponential hardness. In ours, we have no exponential hardness anywhere hidden anywhere. In contrast, the compilation itself is order 1. As I said, you can do it on pen and paper. The layouting is order n, so it grows linear with the size. And the big thing, of course, is the quantum computation itself. Quantum Fourier transform depends exponentially of the quadratic on the fidelity of the qubits. Our Twine method has a quadratic exponential improvement. That's why we were able to extend the size. And this trade-off you will have now at least until at least one more doubling. Then the next challenge will be error mitigation, and then the next challenge will be early fault tolerance, and the next challenge will be late fault tolerance. And for all these things,
maybe Wolfgang, how does that fit to your product roadmap?
That is also our product roadmap. So the history of the computer, the future of the quantum computer, which will be at some point the history of the quantum computer, is our roadmap. So we didn't want to be a company that says, okay, we do now something, and in 2035 you will see how great it was, and until now we will burn investors' money. Actually, what we do is we said the technology must give an advantage at every stage of quantum computing, also now. And this is, so to say, not a lack of vision, that we also think about what you can do now. But this is something part of the philosophy, that we want to have a product and something useful through all stages of quantum computing.
Can we talk maybe a little bit about the value for your customers? What product and services do you offer? How do you monetize it?
I think the benefits for the customer are really on the technical side, as Wolfgang explained. So getting the best out of the current hardware now with a roadmap until full fault tolerance. So what our product offering is really the IP and the enabling software for every stage. So if customers want to work with us, hardware developers, for example, it is very easy, because all you have to do is, first of all, make an API call to our software, and second of all, implement whatever we suggest on the hardware side. But we try to do this in stages, so that the implementation is not something that you have to do in 10 years, but you can do it now. And what we try to do is, with each customer that we're working with, we always have the same goal. And this is reaching quantum advantage and do something useful with a quantum computer. And this is why we actually programmed everything in software as well, so that you can use it instantly and not in 5 years and you have to develop it yourself.
Okay, thank you. And how do you charge for that? So how does do you have a product catalog, or what is the thinking about monetization and customer contracts?
So we monetize by licensing the IP and the software. And we do have a product catalog, so whatever we offer for each customer, we of course have internally all the tools and all the different product building blocks. But what we do is we set this up beforehand, before we go to the customer. So whenever we arrive at a customer, so we usually take over a year internally to prepare before contacting a customer. As you know, there are not that many relevant hardware developers out there, so it really makes sense to be prepared so that everything is protected and everything is actually laid out. And then with this customized product that we set up with all the different tools that we have internally, this is something that we offer the hardware developer then as a package. So they don't have to think about it. This is something that we do, and we know how to optimize this, and all they have to do is pay a license fee.
How does it work from competition? Because I can also you have a very important patent and a very important solution. I can imagine that you bring a hardware advantage. Why would an IBM or a Google or a Microsoft or an Intel not try to buy you? And because doing that might give them a competitive advantage. On the other end, you could also argue for the industry, there's more value if there's a neutral host that keeps do you have defense clauses, or do you have a specific preference for a certain monetization or a certain longer term strategic scenario?
The scenario that you were saying that IBM or Google would just buy you, that could be, yeah. This could be a possible scenario. This is also something that in the skin of a hardware developer, I would also think, why not keep this hardware or this architecture for myself and not share it with everybody else? So this is possible. Our goal at the moment is not to do this, but be, as you said, the neutral part of it that can actually be accessed by all platforms and all players. So our role model in this is a little bit like ARM in the classic computing world. So being the provider of the architecture for everybody who wants to license it.
Okay, now that's clear. Thank you. And on the business momentum, you mentioned already you had some good progress and some good customer wins. That's also interesting. Maybe a little bit. What are customers buying? Are they buying performance, access, optionality, learning, prestige, or something else?
Hopefully all of it. They buy advantage. So they buy advantage that they can't do themselves. This is because everything is patented. It's something you have to buy, and developing it in-house is not possible or very costly. So what we can also say, maybe in terms of does this really work? Is somebody buying this license for you or not? Because I guess investors want to know this hot detail as well. So
yes, please.
What we can say is that we are profitable and have been for 2 years now, so since 2023. And so when we talked to one of the biggest investment banks in the world, they told us that so back then we were the only profitable quantum pure player company in the world. And I think this shows a little bit that we can provide benefits for each stage of the quantum hardware cycle.
It's also very impressive that we're still in the R&D phase and you're already profitable. And what does it mean that you're profitable? Does it mean also that you're bootstrapped and you don't need external capital, or do you still need capital?
Well, that's a strategic decision, we think. So in terms of can we fund our R&D and can we scale? So to a certain degree, we can do this on our own money, but there are limits to it, right? And when we see how the quantum ecosystem is evolving, we also see that companies in the US build up huge cash positions. So we have IonQ with billions in the bank, D-Wave and Rigetti, and we see, for example, with IonQ, we see that the consolidation of the market is coming along. They are buying everything around, all along the quantum stack to make sure that they're the leaders in this. And we see that we have to, if we want to survive in Europe and have a chance in quantum computing, we think we have to do the same. And this is why we think a financing round, even though our own scaling would not be impacted by this, but we think if we want to be a global player and be something that, be a company that is recognized around the world, we have to make a financing round to make this, to enable this. And also maybe go into a little bit higher, a little bit lower in the stack with this money.
And how much capital do you require?
So we're thinking about maybe 100 to 150 million to start this.
Yes. And how would you use that money? Is it for R&D? Is it for marketing? Is it for building new research facilities? Or
that's a very good question. So we know that usually this is spent in factories and workforce. We think that we see this also in the US examples, that this is a war chest that we have to build up. First of all, to not get bought, but second of all, to also ensure that we have in Europe a player that can actually be one layer and then buy itself a little bit high, a little bit lower into the layer, and make sure that we have a player here that can be the missing link in quantum computing.
Okay, that's very interesting. And for investors, what are the key KPIs to track? To say, okay, if this happens, then you are on track. What should investors look at? What KPIs?
So I would look at, if I would be an outside investor, I would look at the number of companies that are building with our architecture. I think for me, this would be more or less the only relevant thing. So how many hardware developers are they able to convince?
Okay. And where is that as of today?
Yeah, I would say from the relevant companies, we are very happy. So the field is very open, also very open to collaboration. It's also a very interesting phase because companies are really looking in a respectful way to other companies to gain advantages. No, so because I mean we are not in competition with any of these hardware developers. We are actually providing to them, and so it's I would say from the relevant ones we are covering at least half of them.
And what do you mean with that? So you mean like the relevant ones and do you mean, I was thinking more like the amount of programmers, but do you mean with the half of them, the half of the amount of companies?
Half companies, yeah. So I would say, I mean, if you somehow mentally think about the companies in the world, there's a certain slope how important they are, right? So some are super important, and for us, this weighted way to think about it. So we try to work with the best hardware developers, in the sense that they are somehow not just good in combination with us, but that they are also in general just leading. And I mean, for example, the press release that we are talking about today, working with IBM, for example, is an experience by itself, I have to say. So the facilities that they have and the power behind this is just amazing. I mean, we are standing here really on the shoulders of giants in this being in this picture. And yeah, I think working with as many and with as good hardware developers, this is what I would look at from the outside, and because of that, it's clearly also what we are trying to do.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. What are the must-win battles for Parity for the coming 5 years?
Yeah, more or less same question, as many hardware developers, and achieving to stay on top on all phases of quantum computing. I think this is a very general picture in industry or in economy or science and everything. There's sometimes disruptive new things coming up. I would say Parity is a disruptive new thing coming up, and we have to bring this through the times. We have to be on top now, which we are, but we also have to stay on top in 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years. And as I said, this will be the transition to error mitigation, error correction. Maybe error correction is not like the only timeline that will be there. But for us, it's very important to be always on top and never, so to say, just thinking about the future and never just, relaxing on previous records, but always staying on top. And I think this is something that we have to be able to motivate the team. So I think our skin is hard enough, but we also have to somehow get the team through this time. Yeah, I would say that's the challenge for the next 5 years.
Okay. When would your conviction go up?
Yeah, if the big companies are knocking at the door and making buy offers and we can refuse them.
Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense. But for investors, is there an organic or internal thing on the product roadmap or a certain solution that you solved that you say, Frank, if this is happening, then my conviction goes up. I really want to get this done the coming 3 or 5 years. But when I wake up someday in the next 3 or 5 years, if this has happened, then my conviction on the future really goes up, that we're successful.
You should have asked us this 2 weeks before. Because then the world record would have definitely been next.
Yeah. I mean, you have to see a world record like this for us, this is something we worked on with the full team for, 2-3 years. It's not like a single event. It's exactly such an event that you're talking about. No, it's yeah. And I think in the future we will work exactly on these things. So I would say at the moment what really matters are these spikes. So that you have some world records or some things where you really are worldwide the best and not just good. And so to say the broadening to make a broad product portfolio and work with a lot and so on, this is something that must result out of this. But the hook must always be, I would say, a world record or something where you are the best. And not just an alternative or a second best or something, like the best. And at the moment with QFD, I think we have, I think it's a very, very strong statement. And the next thing would be, of course, building one of the other things that we are working on now, which will be then maybe world records in 2 years.
Can you walk us through the positive flywheel? Why can you innovate the fastest?
So one is this team that I mentioned in the beginning that we are building the company around the brilliance of the people. So for example, if we hire people, we look at this brilliance and being nice. And on the brilliance side, we are not looking for people that are good at something that we are already good at, but something that brings something new in, like, world experts in something that we are somehow missing or something we are not good at. And because of this, we have now a team that consists of, world-leading people in their field, in a lot of different subfields. So everything quantum computing, of course, but quantum computing has so many aspects. It's a very diverse field. So we have these leading people in their particular field, and then these people talk to each other. And I think this is a combination that allows one to really strive up and to come up with all these things. And the other thing is, I think this long-term thinking. We are in this position that we actually can think long ahead in the future because of this profitability. So we are not a company that only lives always half a year, takes an investment, half a year takes an investment, but we can actually think strategically and long term without having a medicore immediate product. So for some things we can, like this world record, these things take really, really long and are fundamental things. And so this thinking deeply about things and not hectically and, then you read, I don't know, in the newspaper that another company has this and this algorithm, and now we also have to do this and this, but we can really, we have our architecture. Nobody can take it from us. We have, our vision and our long-term thinking, and this combination of excellence plus the opportunity to deeply think about things, I think is a combination that works really well in our company.
I think it's really powerful that you can focus and that you say, okay, we have the ability to invest because we're free cash flow positive, and because we have some kind of certainty, therefore we can take the long-term focus. That's a very powerful combination.
Yeah.
And my last question is, can you give a 2-minute summary why you are excited about the future of Parity?
So I would say we are excited about the future because of the present. If you would have asked me a few years ago, maybe even before starting the company, that so many things would actually work out, which I would have never believed that they would work out. So for example, in the very beginning of the company, I mean, looking back, everything looks like, okay, this works out and this works out and this works out. But if you realistically think about it in the beginning, you believe in nothing. No? So at every moment, everything that we do looks like a house of cards that even the slightest touch will destroy everything. And I would say what makes me optimistic is that somehow things can work out. And we are now in a position that we talk with IBM, we talk with NEC, we talk with companies worldwide, and they take us serious, and we contribute something, and not just we contribute something, we actually achieved the world record, for example. And these are things that make me very, very optimistic. We already know we have some things coming up in the near future, which we already developed in-house, which I'm very excited about them, and I'm very, I'm sitting on needles until they will come out and the world will see these things. So yeah, I think, it's in an entrepreneurial life, I think it's always a mixture of everything will collapse within 1 month, and maybe it goes good, but in principle, I think the exciting thing is really this being part of this international revolution, and not just being part, but being at the forefront. This is a privilege that I would have not dreamed about in any time in my life.